to our podcast, The Celtic Coven.
I'm Cheyenne.
I'm Sage. Grab your cup of tea.
Or a cup of coffee.
And let's get comfy.
Hello! Welcome to this week's podcast. Just a little reminder to subscribe and like our videos and leave a comment if you have any experiences that you want to share or any ideas of topics.
Yeah.
But this week's topic is creativity. And we're going to be talking about anything creative or any type
How to
of
be
art.
creative.
Just anything.
Yeah.
Creativity. Okay, so this is something that the first thing I think of when I hear creativity is problems that I have been having with creativity.
Yeah.
I used to be so creative when I was young.
I think we both were really creative when we were younger.
Yeah.
And just going through life, we just stopped being super creative because we didn't really have the time for it.
Well, I don't know about
I guess that's my experience.
Yeah, well, I used to all the time, no matter where I was writing songs, writing poems, doodling, this and that. You know, anytime I had a chance, I would do it.
Yeah.
And I was just spewing with creativity. And I don't know what happened, and I think it's just maybe it was the time. Maybe it was just mental health creeping in, you know?
Yeah.
And not feeling like it, or that creative block was starting to come. And I knew it's just slowed down to the point where I was not doing it. And also school is happening and having homework and just dealing with real life shit, you know, and it just stopped. And I, for some reason, when I sat down to write a song, nothing came out, or I ended up writing about the same thing, writing the same thing a different way, and it was making me really frustrated because I'm I don't want to write the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I felt like I was just doing the same thing, and that kind of made me stop, so I kind of just ignored it. And I think later, I guess, and that happened more towards my creativity started to stop when I first got into high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout high school, my creativity turned more into doing makeup.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a good way because it was easy to play with, you know? And I don't know, that's just what it leaned into. And that was the only thing I was doing. Besides, doing stuff in school, because I was in, choir and art classes, you know?
Yeah, I think that's where my creativity was, where I know we used to draw and do all this creative stuff outside of school, but then I think probably when we moved, most of my creativity was in my art classes.
Yeah, in school. And I don't know, and especially since graduating high school,
mm-hmm.
I don't have school to force me to do something creative. I was being creative in a sense of, they're telling me, do this, make, in pottery, make a cup. And I'm alright, bet, I'll make a cup. And you could still be creative with that and have it the way you want it and whatever. But since graduating high school, there's no, structure to it now. Now you're fully responsible for
if you make something or not. Yeah.
And so, especially since graduating, I haven't done anything. I cannot even tell you the last time I wrote a song. And I've been sitting here wanting to for a while. It's just I can't think of anything. And I'm currently in this, serious, trying to discover myself again kind of thing. Where I'm trying to indulge in all sorts of creative stuff. I'm wanting to draw or build things or, like write books, because I've always wanted to write books. I used to write short stories, and I just keep thinking about wanting to write a book, but I just always felt like I didn't know what to write about. But I've always wanted it to be based on my real life. But then also I felt like my life was not interesting enough to write about. So it just felt like limited. And I'm just wanting to do stuff.
Yeah, for me, like, I was in art classes and stuff, and I was doing a lot of creative stuff, and then I was in school when COVID happened, so I didn't get my second semester of junior year, and I didn't get any of my senior year, and I was gonna be my pottery teacher's assistant, student assistant, and I would have been able to be in the pottery room whenever, and just make whatever I wanted, and I didn't get to do that.
That sucks.
Yeah, and there's other artistic classes I was gonna take, and I did not get that at all.
Yeah.
And so I did not have that structure.
Yeah.
To be creative, and I just was in my room on Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, nothing happening, and it just sucked.
Yeah.
Because I'm just...
Well, you're not getting much inspiration either, because you can get inspiration from other people at school, being in school, experiencing things. You can maybe think of things to do that would be creative.
Yeah.
But you sitting at home in the same space, nothing new, staring at screens, and everybody has their cameras off. You're just looking at black screen,
Because with writing a book, too, I was writing a book, and I had my journalism teacher edit it, because I was like, oh, I just want someone else's opinion, and kind of fix some things or whatever, and see what he thinks. So I sent it to him, and he edited it and everything, and after COVID happened, I didn't touch it again. I didn't touch that Google Doc, because I started writing it, and I was like, yeah, this seems really cool to write. I got 2 chapters, and after COVID started, I just didn't touch it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I wanted to write.
What I think is interesting at the beginning of the pandemic, I feel like there's a handful of people who, flourished in the time of being home a lot and got super creative. And then you also had the handful of people who got, super depressed or something and had a creative block.
Yeah, I think that just depends on how you were before the pandemic. If you were really creative before, I feel like being stuck inside and stuff made you less creative. And then if you weren't creative before, you were more creative and found yourself in the pandemic because you weren't surrounded by that structure in your environment all the time. Your life changed.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting when it comes to creativity is how it can be anything when it comes down to even designing a tattoo for yourself, picking it and changing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Being creative with even your piercings or hair dyeing, makeup, your clothing. And speaking of clothing, making your own clothes.
Yeah, I just recently bought a sewing machine because I've always wanted to make my own clothes for the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out what I'd want to wear.
Yeah.
And what I'd want to make, and would kind of be easy.
Yeah.
And then just get the fabric and just cut it out and everything. But I need to figure out what I want to make.
That's the one thing I do love about creativity is that there's like so many different ways to be creative, but also with having so many different ways to be creative, sometimes it's hard to choose.
You don't know what you want to
do. Especially like when you are trying to find yourself, you know that you want to be a creative person. You have that feeling of wanting to create something.
Yeah.
But you just don't know. And then when it comes down to like picking a career, you don't want to be in the nonchalant office 9-to-5 type job. You need to be creative. But how do you pick what creative career you go down?
Yeah.
Because you got to stick to, I want to say stick to one, but what is your career going to be? And having to try to find that, stick to that, especially when you're trying to like find yourself, it's really hard to pick because you want to do everything.
Yeah.
And I know some people forget, like, you know, practicing something, you can get better at it. But I also think that sometimes people feel like, I'm not good enough to do this. Yeah. So I don't think it can be a career. And that's where I'm sitting sometimes, where I have to, like, slap myself in the face almost, like, okay, you will get better. You have to practice, you know, and get better at these things, but that doesn't help me in the now. Like, I'm trying to figure this out now.
Yeah.
I in quote, don't have the time to try to practice and get good enough to be able to make it a career.
Yeah, and
I feel like.
I think people don't realize how, like, artistic stuff, like, those things can be careers.
Yeah.
Like, you can make a career out of doing ceramics. You can make a career out of drawings, paintings. You can make a career out of making clothes and, you know, and it's, as long as you love what you're doing, you can somehow make a career out of it.
Yeah.
Because if it's...
Well, I also
even if it's just collecting things.
Yeah, I also think, like, you can build, even if you're learning stuff, like you're learning techniques or whatever, you're a beginner at something.
Yeah.
Like, let's say making jewelry. You want to make jewelry. And you're new to it. I think starting from square one and, like, even just posting stuff on social media of you doing it and just practicing, you're making more content, you're creating, that I think it's cool to see, like, the transformation. You know what I mean? You could use that. You can still have it as, like, a content creator career thing.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, social media sites have become so popular, like TikTok, is because it's an outlet for people to do something creative.
I've seen
that doesn't have that, like, you don't have to do much for it.
Well, yeah, and I've seen so many, like, singing stuff, art stuff, and I've seen, like, these people who reenact stuff or, like, acting, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that is so cool. There's, like, this, like, I could flip back and forth when it comes to, like, social media, because I do think it is a really good outlet for creative people. But also, it can be very, like, toxic, because there's a lot of mean people. And it's like, you need to figure out how to, like, block that.
Yeah.
And still be able to,
because I mean, with anything you
do,
there are going to be people who don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just with anything. And it's just one of those things, like, if you're doing something that you truly love doing, and you have people,
doesn't matter.
If you have people standing there telling you shouldn't do it, those are the people that you shouldn't be listening to.
Yeah.
It's like, don't let that person bring you down for doing something that you love doing. If you like making pottery that's all weird and creepy and has faces on it, go ahead.
Yeah.
Those people who aren't going to buy it or not going to like it, you don't need to listen to them. You need to listen to the people who love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Who are weird like that. Who wants, like, jewelry bowls that have a face on it.
Yeah. I think, and that kind of makes me think about how interesting it is, like, the different things that people create. And how...
What's in other people's minds.
Yeah, exactly. Like, somebody was like, I want this. Boom. And it was like, sometimes it's so weird. Or, like, there's, like, a recent conversation I had, that we had, with people is, like, the kind of, like, artist I am, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And so, like, even if I'm trying to, like, just be nonchalant about what I'm doing, I'm also like, oh, no, I need to fix that, da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then there's some people who are just like, boom, I'm going to slap it around, I don't even care what happens, and...
I'm going to close my eyes and throw it on there.
And I just think that's so cool how some people are like that, where they're just so, I don't want to say careless, but, like, just carefree.
And it turns out good.
It turns out really good. And that works for them.
Yeah.
And I was watching this video of this girl. She had this huge round canvas, and she got up on a ladder and just grabbed a big, like, bowl of paint and just tipped it upside down and just dropped the bowl, and the paint just landed all on the canvas. She grabbed another one and just splatter, and then she goes down to it and she's just rubbing her hands all over on the canvas and just being a mess. And then she, like, after that dries, then she kind of goes in with some more paint and actually, like, paints, like, it was like, I think it was like a woman on top of it or something like that. But I was just like, she's just enjoying what she's doing. She's being messy, carefree, like, having the time of her life.
Yeah.
And all I'm sitting there is like, damn, how much paint was just wasted. Like, I'm also like, wow, that looks cool, that looks fun. But also, oh my gosh, all that paint that's not being used. Like, what do you do with it? But that's just me, like, trying to, that's just how my brain works.
Yeah, and it's good with some things like that. Like with paint, there's not much you can do about, like, that excess paint that there is that's just got splattered everywhere else. Yeah. That's not on the canvas. But, like, with pottery or, like, resin, if you mess up, you can just, like with resin, if you mess up on something, you can just put those pieces into a different mold and then put new resin in it, and it's this whole new thing.
Yeah.
And, like, with pottery, as long as you don't
fire
it,
yeah,
and it's all messed up, if you don't fire it yet, you just break it down and make it into nice soft you just make it into soft clay again.
Yeah.
And even at that, if you did fire it and you don't like it, or it cracked in the kiln,
smash it.
You just smash it, and then you can put it into something else.
Yeah.
You can put it in, like, this bowl or something like that, and just glue the pieces on there.
No matter what happens, when you're creating something, if it doesn't go the way you want it, you could always do something different, change it up.
Yep.
Utilize what you have, and you know what I mean? Like, you can always do something.
Yeah.
Because these are, like, the steps that happen when you are creating something. These things are meant to happen because it's supposed to trigger something for the end result.
That's why I find it so interesting when, like, artists have old paintings or drawings that they have that they just don't like anymore, and they just paint over it.
That drives me crazy.
For me, I'd be really hard for me to do it, but I love it when artists do that, because they're just like, I don't like this anymore, and they just, like, make a line of, like, they're just gonna add, like, a line of something in it, and they just paint this whole new thing over their old painting.
Yeah, so I also really like singing. Okay. I'm a singer, okay?
Yep.
I've been in choir, like, all my life.
So have I.
Okay. Okay, I'm a choir kid. And what really, really gets me is being in choir and we're singing a song and we're adding all the parts and it just sounds so good and so it just gives you the chills. And it's like sometimes like, okay, and like even when people write music and they're writing a piece and they're layering and adding all the notes and all that stuff, like props to you if you can actually like really do it. That moves you. But like what I also love is when like you're messing around with like your friends, you know, y'all can sing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then somebody just starts singing, and then next thing you know, another person's in, and then y'all are just doing random stuff and harmonizing and doing this.
Yeah, and it just sounds so good.
It's like an easy way to, in quote, be creative, because you're being creative, you're choosing things. And just making something that sounds so good, and then you're like, ooh, let me try to hit this note. Ooh, you know, and it's just like...
And then you guys, like, if you guys are singing a song that has different parts to it, then, like, you're all like, okay, who's going to go to the high part? Who's going to go to the lower part? And who's going to stay in that middle there? And you all just try to figure it out. Because I know we've done that in the car, where we're singing a song, and we both just go into, like... start doing the same note, and then one of us goes higher. We're like, okay, the other one will go lower.
Yeah. Well, and I also love like when people have the opportunity to have a solo, and they're like, all right, yeah, these are the words, sing the words, but you know,
put your own spin on it.
Put your own spin on it, right? And people go hard sometimes with these solos and hitting crazy notes or belting crazy or hitting like a super high note, and you're just like, damn! Like, it's just so good, and it's such like a fun way, and I really, really just love the feeling of singing, so that's like a big thing for me.
Yeah.
But just music in general. The creativity in music and like instruments, I don't even know how to put it in words on how good it is. Like when I saw this one video of this girl, she was like, I make music for like her little stories that she makes, and like she's like, and I added this and I added this on top of that, and you know, like the violins and the cello and you know, like a whole orchestral thing. Oh my goodness. And every time she added this layer, I was just like, it just
more
made it
depth.
Yeah, and it was just like so moving and powerful.
It all together.
And that is another thing. Any type of artwork that you do, no matter what it is, it could literally be anything, but I guess it leans more into like an art piece, like a painting or something, or music, are like the big ones. But anytime it can influence somebody and make somebody think something or feel something, you know you have done your job right. You know you've done it good, and that's what's really important. I think that's what's important about creativity, important about art, is being able to, one, express yourself, but also inspire people or make people feel like they have something to relate to, so they're not alone. It's just reaching out to people, and it's so, so important.
And I think it, like, I find it really cool, too, when, like, if a song is really catchy or, like, a lot of people know it, if it's super popular, you could hear just the instrumental of the song, and you'll know what song it is. And especially if it's like a musical that you know really well, if you're just hearing the instrumental to the song, you could most likely sing the words to the tune without the actual singer singing it, because you know it so well. And if you know music, you'd be able to like know where your beats are and where your rests are and when the next verse starts, you know. I find that so cool.
I just love how inspirational art and like creativity is. Like even like with statues, or a big thing, like, you know, I like I've said before, I'm a singer, but like dancing is a really cool way of like being creative.
I can't dance.
I can't dance.
I can't freestyle dance. I can probably,
like, if you have like steps, you could probably,
like if we're actually doing like
the salsa
dance, like the salsa, or the tango or something like that, where there's actual steps to it.
Yeah.
I can do that. Where there's structure. But, like, freelance dancing, where you're just all, like, you're at a club and you're playing music and you're all there just dancing.
I can't do that. I look so cringy.
I feel like I look stupid as hell. Because you're just standing there being like, yeah.
But people who can dance and, like, just, like, really, like ballerina dancers and just, like, the storytelling and you're using your body, it's so pretty. And it's so cool, and, like, somehow, for some reason,
so much
it, like,
emotion
gets to you. And it's just, like, it's really weird because I'm not a dancer. So sometimes sometimes when I see dancing, I'm like, okay. But there's sometimes when I'm watching something, and I'm like, wow, that really hit me for some reason. Like, I don't even know what's going on. But
you're like,
it was good.
Am I crying? Why am I crying?
Why am I crying? Girl, I think I'm gonna need to rewind that video.
Yeah. Speaking of crying.
Oh, no.
I want to say this, too. The amount of creativity that goes into, like, making shows or movies like that.
Yes.
Is so crazy that you can have this idea. Like, it's one thing if you're writing a book and you're making these emotional things happen in the book, and it's another of, like, actually seeing them.
Yeah. I mean, if you are a really good writer and you are really good with your words and explaining something,
people will cry during
people will
book.
cry. Exactly.
But it's another thing too of, like, seeing it.
Yeah.
Where, like, these actors are so good at showing, like, how real emotion feels.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, if the directors are doing it correctly and everything,
and the music is just right.
And the music is just right. 5 seconds into a scene, you can cry. Especially, like, if you've seen a show or movie before and you know what's gonna happen, you're like, I know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. And it's so crazy that you can do that with just acting like you have those types of emotions.
I cry a lot. And whenever I see or hear or whatever it is, I embrace my emotions, and, like, I really embrace the feeling. If I see something, if it really affects me, like, I will cry. And it can be totally new to me, and I could hear something for the first time, like a song, and I could really be like, whoa, that was deep, and that really hit me.
For me, with songs, it takes, like, 2 listens
to
cry.
I can hear the first part.
Listen, if I'm hearing a song for the first time, I'm not really paying attention to the lyrics yet. I'm just trying to figure out if I like it or not. And if the second time I'm like, oh yeah, I like the song, and the second time I listen to it, I actually listen to the lyrics or listen to the instrumental of it, and I'm like, this song makes me sad.
So with me, when it comes to a song, the first time I listen to it, I just, like, I don't think about the words or anything. It's mainly, like, how it sounds, like, the music of it, and, like, how it makes me feel, like, seeing if you like it, but, like, I'm just letting the music, like, express what it's trying to express, you know, with the lyrics, how the singer's sounding, and, you know, their emotions within what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then I could really feel it, and it could make me cry then. And then when I listen to it again, that's when I'm actually listening in detail of, like, what the lyrics are.
Yeah.
More deeply, and trying to piece that together. And then that can make me cry.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then just, like, then after I listen to it a lot of times, I'm finding new things. I'm relating it to anything that's in my life, and then that just makes it worse, in quote, worse. But you know what I mean? Like, it just adds on to the layers. But I just let any type of feelings that they're trying to portray come through.
Yeah.
And I think that is really cool that you can even do that in general.
Oh, yeah. One of the songs that, like, makes me kind of cry is the song After Midnight by Lola young, where the first time I heard that song, I was like, oh yeah, this is a good song. And then, like, the second time I heard the song, I actually, like, listened to it, and I was like, oh, that's super sad.
Yeah.
I'm actually, like, feel how she feels.
Yeah.
You know? And then every time I listen to it, I'm either listening to the instrumental part of it or the lyrics, and I'm just all like, oh, it makes me sad.
Yeah.
You know? And if I'm actually, like, in a sad mood, the song will make me cry. But if we're in the car just listening to music and it comes up or something, it's not going to make me cry. I'm just going to be really into it and be like, oh, dang, like, this song's super good.
Like, I remember when you showed me that song, and that was literally, like, right after my boyfriend and I broke up. And so, of course, like, listening to it, it was, like, trigger. And then, like, but, like that song and other songs, like, I don't care. We'll link it
down below, by the way.
But any type of song, I don't care what mood I am in. Like, I could be happy, you know, whatever, and I could listen to a song, and it's not like the song, like, messes with my whole mood and now I'm sad for the rest of the day. But, like, I could listen to a song, like that song, for example, and cry. I'm really into it. Like, I really indulge in the music, and I'm really in it. And I will cry if I really am feeling it in that moment. And, like, and then the next song comes on, and
you're like, all right,
I'm like, yeah, dancing. Now I'm feeling this song. Like, I'm just letting my emotions flow as they flow.
Yeah.
And if music can do that, and sway your feelings and stuff like that, it's the most magical thing in the world.
Yeah.
Art, when you look at an art piece, you look at it and it just makes you think something, and or you're like, damn, that's like really dark. That looks sad. Or, you know, like, wow, that person is expressing this. And there's, like, it's just you looking at a painting or something.
And seeing what you see in it, yeah.
It's
That's
so
what I
cool.
love about being creative in art in general, is that, like, things that people make is just seeing what's in those people's minds.
And anybody can interpret it differently. Yeah. No one interprets things in the exact same way. Because as a human being, you do not have the same exact experiences as somebody else.
Yeah.
There's no one other person who's had the same exact experience as you.
Yeah.
Or the same thought process as you.
No, because it's going to be different perspectives, different emotions that you feel towards something. And
exactly. Or how your brain works. Like, maybe some mental health stuff you have going on. Like,
yeah.
So everyone interprets things slightly differently. It affects somebody slightly differently. And, like, the artist could say, oh, when I did it, I was thinking this, and this is how I was feeling. But you didn't interpret it the same way. Or even lyrics you don't interpret the same way. Like, it's just up for your perspective. And I think that's really cool, too. That even though, like, the person meant it to be, like, a funny joke, kind of dark humor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you took it as, like, this person's actually, like, really depressed or something. Like, that's just how it affected you.
Yeah.
It's the power of creativity.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't say downside of, like, art, but, like, the other side of art is that, like, with modern art, there are artists who will just, like, paint a black canvas.
Ugh.
And that's the thing. I think
I don't want to say I hate that, but I hate that.
It's part of, like, what I was thinking was, like, if you're a really well-known artist who've done really crazy and really beautiful paintings before, and there's this one painting that, like, it's just, like, a black canvas with a line or, like, 2 lines on it.
Yeah.
It's part of the thing where it's, like, okay, you just put tape on the canvas and then painted black on it and took the tape off.
Like, it could still have lines. A meaning to it. They could have still had a meaning to it.
Right. But and so some people are just going to be like, okay, it's this one color, you know, or other people are like, oh, I understand the meaning behind this.
Yeah.
You know?
But I wonder, like, with those kinds of paintings, do you think the artists, like, sometimes, like, people are just doing things? Like, I think... Especially if they are, like, a well-known person.
If you're an artist, here's the thing. Like, if you're an artist and all you do is, like, those very simple, like, you use one color and you have, like, a dot there. Or you have, like, a line there or something like that, and that's all of your art.
Yeah.
I don't really like it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't really see a point behind it. But if you're an artist that regularly does really crazy things where you have multiple colors on it.
Where they've shown that they are very expressive.
And then there's this one painting where it's just one color or one line or, you know, where it's like this one thing that's going on. I think that's where it's like, what's going on in this artist's life that's making them paint something like this?
Yeah.
You know? Because this is like one thing where it's like, it's just a black canvas. Okay, all these other paintings that this artist has done are full of color, like all the colors in the rainbow, and then there's this one that's all black. Why is it all black?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I see where you're going. But I know, like, I've seen this other artist, like, have an old, like, painting, like, it was, like, a picture kind of thing, and they, bought it at, like, a secondhand store.
Yeah.
And she, basically turned it sideways because it was, like, a horizontal painting, so she turned it vertical and, like, painted, like, words on it.
Mm.
And I thought it was just, like, really cool, and it was just really interesting to be on top of something.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, why would you do that? But then I'm also like, oh, that's pretty cool. But, like, I don't know. I just thought that was really cool, and I wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Okay. Off the topic of, like, painting.
Yeah.
I love photography so much.
Yes.
I'm a photographer myself, and I personally can't draw or paint that well.
Yeah.
Like, I love kind of doodling and stuff, but I can't do full-on, like, paintings or drawings.
Yeah.
But I love photography because it's an easy thing to do, but it's also there's a lot of components.
You gotta have the right eye for it.
Yeah.
And find the right angle and everything.
Like, I've always, like we said, we used to be very creative when we were younger, and we would just do a whole bunch of other stuff. But when I, like, got into high school, I started taking, like, media arts and photography classes, and I was sitting there being like, I want to do that. I want to do photography. Because I love doing it. I'm good at it. So I've told that I love the things that I've taken pictures of and stuff. But it's one of those things where it's like, photographers can put you in, like, an environment and make it like this whole world that's around you. And this whole, like, feeling was just adding a couple things and then putting you in, like, a certain position.
Yeah.
And it'll tell, like, a whole story.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. And just even, like, with wedding photographers, you're taking pictures of one of the happiest days those people are going to have.
Yeah.
You know?
You're capturing a moment.
Right. And that's with all photography. Or I would say with a lot of art, you're capturing a moment.
Yeah.
You're capturing a feeling.
Yeah.
A thought, a moment, you know. And I think that's a part of why we really want to be creative.
Yeah.
Is like we've just been going day to day doing
through
nothing.
The motions, yeah.
And feeling the same things every single day. And we're over here wanting to have more.
Yeah.
And feel more. and being creative, like,
yeah,
we want to have another emotion.
Yeah.
Than just kind of being numb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's how I've been feeling, where I'm just super plain, blah, just going through the motions, and I'm just like, I want to sit here and make a whole world. I want to sit here and do something that I really love doing.
Yeah, I've been desperate for some expression.
Yeah.
And, like, that even goes down to, like, how I look, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Being able to express yourself in any way, or, like, some people like making things like woodworking and, like, you know what I mean?
I'd
like,
love to do work.
Or, like, making a book, like a leather book or something like that. Those things, it's like a vibe and stuff like that. Like, anything to really, like, express yourself. And, like, being proud in what you're doing and feeling like you've accomplished something. It's like every single thing that's, you know, around has been created by somebody. Somebody thought of an idea and put it into action. They got it from their brain out into the world.
Yeah. Like you were saying earlier, you would, like, express yourself and be creative through makeup.
Yeah.
For me, I don't personally like wearing makeup. It's not something that I want to do every day in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not me. But I still want to express myself with, like, the things I wear.
Yeah.
So, like, being a Wiccan, I am this different kind of vibe than a lot of other people. And I want to express that. So, and be my beliefs.
Yeah.
Out in the open and show it.
And I love when people do that. And like I was saying too, like, everyone's, like, being creative, being very unique within their each, like, individual self.
Yeah.
And being able to express that and have that on the outside to show people. You can connect with people. That's still connecting, making an impact, making somebody think something, making somebody feel something. And also loving the way you look, and it's like expressing how you feel on the outside.
That's how I want to feel. I want to love the way I look.
Yeah.
So a lot of my expression is on the top half of me, with just, like, my neck and up. So I have, like, crystal necklaces that I wear, and I have earrings, and, like, I have star earrings and stuff, like the Fae star and everything, and I have a headband thing that looks very, like, hippie-ish, you know, and that's where all of, like, my expression is.
Yeah.
And I want more than that. I want it to be in my clothing.
Yeah.
And I want to go out in the world wearing suspenders, or, like, having, like, this big, beautiful dress on, or, you know, like, just crazy things, and feel comfortable in what I'm wearing and feel happy with what I'm wearing.
I know. I've always loved seeing people dress certain ways, because I'm just so happy that they've gotten enough confidence, or being like, oh, I don't even care what people think, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just doing it. It makes me so happy, and I hate that sometimes I can't get myself to do that. It frustrates me, because I know there's, like, a certain way that I want to look, and I always stop myself from doing it, and because maybe it's not practical or whatever, or I'm like, oh, it's not appropriate, you know, for the setting.
That's why I really don't like working in the society how it wants us to.
Yeah.
Like,
you're supposed to look
I don't like working for companies.
Yeah, corporate companies.
Because they want a certain look. They want you all to be, like, uniform and like
robots.
Look the same, and I don't like it. That's why, like, I want to do photography as a career, because I can probably wear whatever I want. Yeah. And people won't really question it.
Yeah.
They'll be like, she's a photographer, she's wearing what she's comfortable in. Like, she wants to wear a dress while she's doing this, fine. Like,
and that's one thing that I really do like right now is that I think that it kind of feels like that we're leaning towards like more people creating their own content, kind of like being more self-employed, being like more like a freelancer. Like there's still like the very corporate people, very business 9-to-5 people. Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot more YouTubers and TikTokers and like who are making money by creating
things. Yeah.
Being like a content creator type thing.
Yeah, and I love that because I think we just need more people that want to do things that they love doing.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people are realizing, especially with the pandemic, having so much free time and discovering stuff about themselves, is that they don't want to work in a corporate job. Yeah. They want to be more creative. They want to have more of a flexible schedule, have time, and actually enjoy their life. Because these jobs are stopping from people and making people's lives miserable. Yeah. And and there's so much stress with it. And it's like a double-edged sword, because with these corporate companies, if you work full time doing what you're doing, you can sit there and say, oh, I know I'll have money for bills, kind of thing. Kinda. But, I mean, sometimes not, because there's still poor people who are working, you know what I mean? But, like, you're more likely to know for sure that you're going to make a certain amount of money. Yeah. But when it comes to, like, freelance stuff, it's based on other people wanting your stuff.
Yeah. Like, if you make jewelry and there are not a lot of people like your jewelry,
you can't live off of it.
You can't live off of it. It would only be like, at most, like $1,000 a month, you know, that you're getting. Yeah. And that's not really like a living.
No, especially if you live on your own and everything, that's just not enough. Yeah. But I still like the idea that we're moving towards more stuff like that, because it gives the opportunity for people to like actually enjoy their life and be creative, and it's like encouraging people to use their creative minds. Yeah. Because I saw a video today that this girl, she's like, I did everything right, and I didn't work on my creative part of my brain, and I was school smart. I became a robot, just like they wanted me to be. Yeah. Just exactly like it. And now I'm sitting here like losing myself. I can't express myself. I'm miserable, and the only way I can express myself in the easiest way is by tattoos and piercings and stuff like that. Yeah. I think a lot of people feel that, because I feel the same way with piercings and my tattoos and like dyeing your hair.
That's why I want more tattoos and more piercings, because I want to express myself in that way of showing it on my body of who I am.
And I still really hate, like, it's gotten better, but people expressing themselves by dyeing their hair, having tattoos, piercings, body mods, like all that type of stuff, that there's still companies that won't hire you because of that.
Yeah, they still think
you're still being discriminated against. Yeah. And I hate that, because me having like a nose ring does not stop me from being a good worker. Yeah. It doesn't
stop you from being professional.
It doesn't like affect my work ethic. No. You know? Like,
but because they're trying to accommodate for customers. Yeah. Almost like working as like a salesperson, you're supposed to look a certain way. Yeah. I think you're supposed to take out face piercings, you know, and you're not supposed to have dyed hair in certain places.
But that's why I like the freelance stuff. Yeah. That's why I really, really like the freelance creativity type stuff, because people can look how they want to, make what they want to, really enjoy their life so much more, and like just
like if you love being in a corporate job and you love being like a manager of people, great. we're still gonna need those types of people in our society, because that's just how our world has been built. But our society shouldn't push those kind of ethics and problems on people who should be people who are creative.
Yeah.
If there's people who, like the whole left brain, right brain thing, where the people who are really good at being strict and managers and managing people and being in charge, great. You do that. If you love doing that, great. Good for you. But if you want to paint and do something super creative with your life, do it.
Yeah.
We need people like that.
Well, and I think schools and stuff need to do better. Now, of course, we have art classes and stuff, but I feel like
they prioritize.
It's not mainly focused or having the option to, I know I'm a creative person, I really want to be in a creative field, help me with that.
Yeah.
But they're teaching everybody the same. I mean, like, there should be, like, the base main course classes that everyone takes. But being able to just really indulge and, like, hyper-focus on what you know you want to do and want to get better in.
Right. And I think I've seen a thing where they talk about schooling where, yes, when you're in, like, kindergarten and middle school, like, kindergarten through middle school, you should learn the basics of writing and math and
basic skills that you should have.
But by the time you get to high school, you should be able to sit there and be like, I really want to focus on this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know that not everyone during high school knows what they want to do.
No.
And that's okay. I mean,
they don't give enough credit to the kids nowadays, honestly.
Yeah.
They don't give enough credit to our generation, like my generation.
Yeah.
Where they just think they're like, you don't know anything, you just shush and put your head down.
Which I hate that because
they think we don't have an opinion, and we do.
Like, there's the stopping of being able to think for yourself and being creative and, like, expressing yourself fully.
Yeah.
It's so limited, and that's why a lot of people, like, explode after they are out of high school, after they move out of their parents' house, etc.
Yeah.
Like, people just explode with, like, I haven't been able to experience or try anything. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. And it's like,
it gets so overwhelming.
Allow these people, these kids, to be creative and experience things, to discover things about themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they can take the main role while they're trying to discover themselves too. But, like, people who do know, like, I want to be a singer, I want to do this, da-da-da-da, let them just dig super deep in
Help
it.
them
encourage
be like
them. And, you need really good teachers who are going to support you and have resources and network with people, to, like, get you to where you want to be. And also, the whole discrimination of people, like, dropping out of high school or even college and stuff like that, or not going to college.
Like, you're bad for doing that, like, you're not going to do anything.
Sometimes it doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes people know what they want and know how they want to do it, and that's it.
Yeah.
It depends on, like, what you're doing, that maybe you could have, like, a little bit of schooling here and there, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be, like, a main key point. I think your experience and stuff like that, like, when getting a job, like, it shouldn't be like, well, I have 10 degrees of this, and that. I mean, that's dramatic, but you know what I mean?
Like, if you want to do that, sure. Go, keep going to college.
But, like, experience, your own personal experience of doing things and having those skills should matter, too.
In our society, especially even just, like, America in general, like, in our society, they put it on everyone that everyone should be the same, where you go to school, you graduate high school, you go to college, and you get a job.
Yeah.
And that's what you do, and then you're supposed to marry someone, have kids, and then you work and work and work and work, and then you retire and you die.
Yeah.
When someone's like, okay, what if I don't want to go to college?
Yeah.
What if I just don't want to be married? What if I don't want to be married? What if I don't want to have kids?
It needs to be normalized.
Yes.
To not follow that plan.
Yes. Being like, I don't want to have kids. Why? You don't want like people to live with your family? I don't really care. Yeah. It's like, I don't care. You want kids so that your name lives on for some reason? Why? Yeah. Are you that self-centered? It's like,
but whatever works for you. The whole point is being able to express yourself. Whatever works for you.
Yes.
What best?
We need more people. Baseline, we need more people to be more creative and express that.
And people need to be more accepting of people who are expressive.
Yes, it should be like, oh, you do a corporate job? Cool. I'm a freelance artist who paints all these big paintings all the time.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It shouldn't matter that much.
You shouldn't judge people being all like, yeah, you shouldn't judge someone.
Like, somebody be like, you're an artist, you're not going to be very successful.
No one's going to buy that.
The definition of success for me is different for you. You know what I mean? What you think is successful is not going to be the same.
Mm-mm.
Especially, like, some people are like, well, for you to be successful, you have to have a lot of money, this, and that. And have this and have a really, really amazing job.
That's your form of success.
But then they hate what they do. They hate their life. You know what I mean?
Yep. And then
success to me is just yeah, exactly. To me, success is just being happy with what I'm doing. I don't need to have all the money in the world. I don't need the biggest house in the world. I don't need the best car in the world. You know what I mean? Like, whatever is getting me by, and I'm enjoying who I'm around. Yeah. I'm happy with what I'm doing with my life and having fun and having adventures, and like, that's what success to me. Right now, I don't feel very successful with my idea of success.
Neither do
because I feel very stuck, and I'm also in this stage of trying to discover what path I want to go down.
And I'm glad we both realize it, where we say where we're at, I don't feel successful and I don't feel happy, and we know what we want to do to feel happy. Like, with me, I know that if I'm more creative, I'm going to be a lot happier in my life, because I am not in the greatest headspace.
Yeah. And
I haven't been for a little bit. And me just wanting to be more creative and doing things that I like doing. I haven't taken photos in a long time.
Yeah.
And I really want to.
Yeah.
I really do. I want to take more photos and add more to my album or portfolio. I want to actually use the sewing machine that I got and make things and be able to make a costume for the Renaissance Festival. I want to do pottery. You can buy a pottery wheel off of Amazon.
Yeah.
You can buy a kiln off of Amazon.
Yeah.
I could totally do that and have that in my house.
Well, and like I've been saying before, it's like I've been in this weird rut of like not being creative, and so I've been like really like forcing myself to like, all right, sit down, do something, be creative. And recently I have started really, really thinking about like writing a book and coming up with characters and stuff. And I've also been I just finished a drawing that, it's just, whatever. But I did the drawing.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like doing the podcast. This is something that's creative.
Yeah. And I'm glad we started this, because this is a creative outlet for us.
And since I've been really like, all right, come on, you gotta do something, I've been feeling a lot better than I have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's been opening up this door of creativity. And now I'm just wanting to do everything. And recently, I just made those cute little Hobbit door wreath things. And that was so much fun. And it's just something. I'm like sitting there like, oh, I made this. It's so cool.
Yeah, like I haven't used my sewing machine a lot, but when I was teaching myself how to actually use it and I figured it out, I made a little drawstring bag, and I'm so proud of it. I keep looking at it, and I'm like, I'm so happy.
I can't believe I made that.
Like, yeah, I'm like, I can't believe I actually made that. And I just keep looking at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a bag. Yeah. Like, to anybody else, it's like, oh, it's just a bag. But for me, I'm like, I made this. Yeah. I made something.
And that's like the greatest thing about being creative is like once you create something and you sit there and you're like, this is my little baby. And like, you're like, I'm so proud of it. And it makes you feel good that you actually like made something. And it makes me keep wanting to make things. Yeah. It's amazing. And it just keeps triggering like different parts of my brain, and it's making me think so much, and it feels so much better than me sitting down trying to do a math problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're using your brain and you're solving a problem, and you're like, cool. That's just not the kind of person I am. Me sitting here putting a couple things, gluing things together, this and that, made me feel so much better because I'm using my brain. I'm trying to solve this and I'm putting something together. Makes me feel so much better than me fucking like trying to solve a multiplication problem. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I don't know how to do it, or sometimes like being creative isn't hard. Like writing a book is hard. Yeah. You have to really think about all aspects of things. Create a person or multiple characters, you know what I mean? Like, you're really, really doing something, trying to think in depth about it. Yeah. But it's fun.
It's something that's hard. Like, there's those ends of it where you could do something that's really hard like that, or you could just get a coloring book and color in a coloring book.
Literally.
And that's doing something creative for your brain. Yeah. That you're coloring this black and white image, and when you're done with it, it's so cool. And you know, and a lot of people do that as well. Like, they do crazy coloring book stuff where they'll just take a page out of a coloring book and they will add depth of color in it.
The list can go on with different types of creativity.
Just express yourself.
Just express yourself, and it like doesn't have to be stereotypical of having drawing something or painting something. No. It can literally be anything that we talked about with like expressing yourself, like with what you wear, you know, anything that you do that you're creating.
Please have self-expression. Yeah,
like be unique, be expressive. Yes. Like, it's so, so important. And I'm so glad I'm in this stage of my life where I'm trying, like rediscovering that. Mm-hmm. And figuring out what path I want to go down, because I know the career I want has to do something with being creative. Yeah. I'm just not quite sure what that is yet.
And you just have to keep looking and figure out what it is.
Yeah. I don't know, sometimes the point of life, like, I think the point of life is just experiencing stuff, creating something, and being able to, like, leave something back and like after you're gone, you know what I mean? Like, really truly enjoying the experience of life. Why am I gonna live my day-to-day life hating my life
and leaving
and not wanting to be here? Yeah, it's just like I'm literally just surviving. I'm not living. And I think it's very important to like live your life. Yes. Just anything. Be expressive. Live your life. Be happy with what you do. It's so, so, so important. Yeah. So,
please, in the comments, tell us anything you guys have created and you feel like is your baby that you've made, or things that you want to do to be more creative. Yeah. And
let us know what your blocks are, because I'm having blocks too. Like, I've had creative block for a long time.
And if you guys have any advice of like how to get out of those blocks, please tell us that too. And if you guys have suggestions for other episodes that you want to hear us talk about, please put those down below. We have TikTok, we have Instagram. Yep. Please check those out. Those are linked. And
thank you for listening this week. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.